Welcome to Doctors on Call. Tonight's topic, depression. Two experts are here to answer your questions. Now here's your host, Dr. Raleigh Sullivan.
Good evening. It's normal to feel blue now and then, but when sadness and despair last for weeks and become overwhelming, well, it's time to get help. Up to 40 million Americans suffer with depression. How can you recognize the signs? What causes mental illness? And how is depression treated? We're going to get answers to those questions and more tonight from our two guests, Dr. Derek Mongold, a psychiatrist at West Virginia University whose special interests include geriatric psychiatry, and Dr. Chris Cargile from Texas A&M University who specializes in general psychiatry. If you'd like to ask our guests a question about depression, give us a call. Our phone lines are open now. So I'm going to start with you, Derek. Tell me, let's start off with the basic. What's the difference between having just the blues and something more serious, such as depression?
Well, you're right, Raleigh. You know, it's pretty normal to feel down now and again, especially related to things that are going on around you, the weather. Sometimes in the winter, people get a lot more of the blues. Certain life situations will make them feel a little more with the blues. But when I talk about depression, I use that as a slang term, meaning major depressive disorder generally. There's a lot of different types of depression, but the most common that I talk about would be major depressive disorder. Now, with major depressive disorder, you get other symptoms other than just depressed mood. You also have your sleep being disrupted. Sometimes you can wake up early in the mornings. That's kind of the classic. But I generally see people usually have more trouble falling asleep, staying asleep. They also lose interest in things that they used to enjoy. Some people get some overwhelming guilt. Just anything that happens to them or even around them, they kind of blame themselves and feel guilty over it. It gets to the point that they really start feeling worthless about stuff. Energy will go down. More than just the normal ups and downs you get throughout the day, they'll really have a permanent loss of energy.
Well, we have our first caller. This is Vicki from Monongalia County, right here at home. Vicki, welcome to the show. You have a question for us?
Yes, hi. I thought I saw in one of the doctor shows that there was a test that can be done, like an MRI or something, that the part of the brain where depression shows up would show up different colors to let you know what drug is suited for whatever kind of depression you have, or something like that. I don't know if I misunderstood or is there something like that?
Well, I think we all understand what she's talking about. Who wants to take a shot at that?
I can talk about it for a second. There are some scans that will show differences in the brain, but really that's more experimental. Generally, they take people that we know have major depressive disorder. You know, to diagnose major depressive disorder, there's really no test or scan. It's more of a clinical interview, talking to people and having some of the symptoms of depression. Not just the depressed mood, but the other physical symptoms that you get. Then they take those people and do the studies on them. They can see that some people, when they respond to medications, there'll be changes in their brain. Now, the exact same changes happen with therapy or anything that really gets the depression better. But those aren't really nearly as sensitive as the actual clinical interview. The best way to diagnose depression is talking to a psychiatrist or an expert in the area. So right now we use mostly the SSRI medications. Such as Prozac. That's the most common one. A lot of people have heard of Prozac. It's still a very good medication. I use it very often. I think it's one of the best medications that we have. Has a lot of evidence behind it. It increases one of the chemicals in the brain called serotonin. There's also a newer class of medications coming out that actually mimics our older class of medicine. The newer class of medicine increases two different chemicals in the brain, serotonin and norepinephrine, which is also what happened with our older class of medications, two older classes of medications, the TCAs and the MAOIs. There's a few other antidepressants that work in different ways. One increases dopamine. And some others kind of modulate the serotonin and norepinephrine, but really it's those three chemicals that we're trying to target with our treatments.
Serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine.
And dopamine.
That's probably about as many chemical names as the audience would want to hear, but those are the ones, I suppose, that are involved in depression. Who would like to try to help her with that? I know you're interested in pain and depression.
I do. You know, we never know what comes first. Usually people will develop a chronic pain syndrome first, and then they become depressed. We think, you know, maybe because of the pain, but one thing that we notice is when people do become depressed, their pain becomes a lot worse. Not even just the physical feelings of pain, but the way they deal with the pain. They really can't tolerate it, can't handle it, can't deal with it very well. And then other symptoms do come on, like panic attacks. You're right, medications can help some, and we like to start with medications. The other thing that I recommend for people who have chronic pain and depression with other symptoms is psychotherapy, especially one type of psychotherapy called CBT. That really seems to help people not necessarily get out of the pain, but deal with the pain better. They might feel the same amount of pain, but they can go out, they can do things, they enjoy their life despite having the pain instead of getting completely rid of the pain. Yeah. And that really seems to help people.
Let me ask before we take our next question, are there some medications in this particular patient's case that should be avoided if you have pain and panic and depression?
There are. One type of medication we're seeing a lot, the benzodiazepines, like Xanax or Valium, people use those a lot for panic attacks, which is kind of a short-term solution for a long-term problem. People, you know, it works very well, but what happens is when you use medication to kind of escape from the panic attacks, it makes your body more likely to have more panic attacks down the road. You'll notice the panic attacks start coming closer and closer and becoming more intense when you have them. Those sort of medications are good if you had a problem that was only going to last for a couple weeks, but usually panic attacks are something that lasts a good bit longer, a couple months. The other big thing we're seeing in West Virginia, there's a huge increase in deaths of people mixing the benzodiazepines like Xanax with certain types of pain medications, the opioid pain medications.
It's a big problem, West Virginia.
I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, this is a tough case, but this lady, what do you all recommend?
Well, this is kind of a little bit of a tricky case because her mom died so recently. You know, grief can often look like depression. Sometimes even the experts have trouble telling the difference. Really, the big thing that makes me think this is more than grief in this, or when this happens, something like you start thinking you'd be better off dead, wishing you were dead, crying all the time. It's fairly normal to cry, you know, if your parents die, but crying all the time, that does become a problem. Now, we don't, or we let people, if they grieve for up to 6 months, we can even call that normal. It's after that we start to think that this is abnormal, unless we have some of the symptoms that I was talking about earlier, some of the more severe symptoms.
Well, and she said she didn't want to get out. Apparently she doesn't sleep, doesn't want to get out of bed, doesn't want to do anything.
Which are some of those more severe symptoms.
So she's on, I think, Celexa and, what'd you say, Xanax?
Celexa and Xanax. Now, one thing about the Celexa to talk about is that medication doesn't really kick in and start working for about a month. It'll take a month. She said her mom died 2 months ago. It's hard to say if this medication has had time to really kick in and start working unless she started taking it right away. Like I said earlier, I think that guilt is one of the warning signs that this is more than just the blues, that this is something such as a depression. That would be a sign that you should see your family doctor or even a psychiatrist to see about getting an evaluation to see if this is more than just the blues and maybe trying a medication for this.